Sometimes we know we need to talk. A tough talk. But instead of facing it, we delay it. We scroll, distract ourselves, and hope the problem somehow disappears on its own. We avoid difficult conversations because we fear conflict. Our brain predicts arguments, rejection, or emotional explosions. Even before anything happens, we imagine the worst possible outcome. We also fear saying the wrong thing. What if we hurt someone? What if we can't explain ourselves properly? The anxiety of not being perfect keeps us silent. Past experiences shape us. If previous conversations ended badly, our brain stores that pain. Now, it tries to protect us by avoiding similar situations altogether. Avoidance feels safe in the moment. It protects relationships temporarily. We convince ourselves that staying silent keeps peace, even if tension slowly builds underneath. But unspoken words don't disappear. They grow. Misunderstandings expand. Distance increases. What could have been solved with honesty becomes heavier over time. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means speaking despite it. Difficult conversations often create clarity, respect, and deeper trust when handled with empathy. The truth is, we avoid hard talks to protect ourselves. But growth begins the moment we choose honesty over comfort. Sometimes, the conversation we fear most is the one we need most. Why does sharing how I feel seem so dangerous? What if they laugh, ignore me, or walk away? Keeping everything inside feels safer, but also heavier. If they see my real emotions, they might judge me. They might think I'm weak. It's easier to pretend I'm strong than risk being misunderstood or rejected. I tried opening up before, and it hurt. The memory still stays with me. My mind tells me protecting my heart means never letting anyone get too close again. Being vulnerable means losing control. I can't control how others react or what happens next. That uncertainty makes my chest tighten and my mind choose safety over honesty. I was taught to be strong, not sensitive. Showing emotions feels like breaking an unwritten rule, but hiding behind a mask slowly makes me forget who I really am. One part of me wants connection, another wants protection. My heart seeks closeness, but fear builds walls. This constant battle makes vulnerability feel confusing and exhausting. Maybe vulnerability isn't weakness. Maybe it's courage, choosing honesty despite fear. Every meaningful connection begins when someone dares to show their true self. Being vulnerable is scary, but it also creates trust, understanding, and real connection. The risk of opening up exists, but so does the chance of being truly seen. At first, toxic people seem magnetic. They smile easily, listen intensely, and make you feel instantly understood. Our brain mistakes this fast emotional connection for safety, not realizing it's often a carefully crafted first impression. Charm works because it feels rare. Toxic individuals often give intense attention early on, compliments, curiosity, validation, triggering dopamine in the brain. That chemical rush makes us associate them with pleasure and excitement. Many toxic people study human behavior closely. They mirror your interests, values, and emotions, creating a false sense of deep connection. What feels like soulmate energy is often strategic emotional imitation. Confidence is another trap. Toxic personalities often appear bold, decisive, and fearless. Our brains confuse confidence with competence and emotional stability, even when it's actually hiding insecurity or manipulation underneath. Early charm lowers our defenses. When someone feels safe and exciting, we stop questioning red flags. Small warning signs get ignored because the emotional reward feels stronger than logical caution. Toxic charm also creates contrast. The warmth at the beginning makes later coldness feel shocking. This emotional whiplash deepens attachment, as the brain tries to win back the version it first met.
When we are young, time feels slow and stretched. Days seem long, and even small moments feel important. Each experience is new, so the brain pays close attention, making time feel fuller and longer. As we grow older, life becomes more routine. We repeat similar days again and again. Because fewer moments feel new, the brain doesn't record them as deeply, causing time to feel like it's moving faster. Our brain measures time by memories, not hours. When days look similar, fewer memories are created. Looking back, the past feels shorter, even though the same amount of time actually passed. Children experience life with curiosity and attention. Adults often rush, multitask, and think ahead. Less focus on the present moment means fewer details are stored, making time seem to slip away quickly. Another reason time feels faster is proportion. 1 year feels huge to a child, but small to an adult. As our life gets longer, each year becomes a smaller piece of the whole. Routine compresses time. When every week feels the same, the brain groups them together. Without clear, unique memories, weeks and months blur, making entire years feel like they disappeared quickly. New experiences slow time down. When we learn, travel, or try something unfamiliar, the brain records more details. These rich memories make time feel longer and more meaningful again. Time itself doesn't speed up, our perception does. By staying curious, breaking routine, and living more in the present, we can make life feel fuller and slow time down, even as we grow older. Sometimes a song starts playing, and suddenly everything around us fades away. In just a few seconds, the music pulls us into the past, bringing back memories so vivid it feels like we're reliving that moment again. Songs connect deeply with our brain because they mix sound, emotion, and rhythm. When we hear a familiar song, the brain doesn't just hear it, it remembers where we were, who we were with, and how we felt then. Many strong music memories are formed during childhood and teenage years. At that time, emotions are intense, and the brain records experiences more deeply, locking songs together with powerful feelings and important life moments. Music directly activates emotional centers in the brain. This means songs don't need explanation or logic. They instantly awaken emotions, which is why a single melody can bring happiness, sadness, or nostalgia without warning. Songs often play during meaningful events, celebrations, heartbreaks, friendships, or quiet moments alone. The brain links the song with that experience, so hearing it again unlocks the entire memory, not just the sound itself. That's why music can make us cry and smile at the same time. It reconnects us to past versions of ourselves, reminding us of who we were, what we felt, and how much we've changed since then. The same song can mean completely different things to different people. Each brain stores music alongside personal experiences, making every song memory unique, personal, and deeply emotional in its own way. In the end, songs are more than just sound. They are emotional time capsules, carrying pieces of our past. Every time we press play, we don't just hear music, we revisit memories we thought were gone.
Some people naturally seek attention. It's not always about ego or showing off. Often, attention represents validation, safety, and a feeling of being seen in a crowded world. Attention activates the brain's reward system. Praise and recognition release feel-good chemicals, teaching the brain that being noticed equals emotional comfort and motivation. For some, attention fills emotional gaps. When people feel ignored, unheard, or overlooked earlier in life, attention later becomes proof that they matter. Growing up with conditional praise can shape behavior. When love or approval came mainly through performance, achievement, or behavior, attention becomes linked to self-worth. Attention seekers are often expressive, energetic, and socially aware. They enjoy connection and stimulation, not dominance. Being noticed helps them feel alive and emotionally engaged. Lack of attention can trigger insecurity or self-doubt. Silence may feel like rejection, even when it isn't. Attention reassures them that relationships are still intact. Loving attention doesn't mean lacking depth. Many attention-loving people are also generous, empathetic, and encouraging when they feel emotionally secure and appreciated. The need for attention is really the need for connection. When people feel valued consistently, attention becomes a preference, not a necessity. Some people want connection, yet feel uneasy when someone gets emotionally close. This fear of intimacy often begins quietly, showing up as discomfort, hesitation, or the urge to step back when relationships start becoming deeper and more meaningful. For many, fear of intimacy starts in early life. When love felt inconsistent, unsafe, or conditional, the brain learns to associate closeness with pain, rejection, or loss, even if the person truly desires connection as an adult. Emotional wounds from past relationships can make people afraid to open up again. Getting close feels risky, because vulnerability means someone could hurt them. Avoiding intimacy becomes a way to protect themselves from reliving emotional pain. Some people fear intimacy because it requires honesty. Being seen fully, flaws, fears, and emotions, can feel terrifying. They worry that if others know the real them, they might be judged, rejected, or abandoned. Intimacy can feel like losing independence. For people who value control or self-reliance, closeness may seem overwhelming. They fear being emotionally dependent, restricted, or responsible for someone else's feelings and expectations. Fear of intimacy is not a lack of love, but a conflict between desire and safety. The heart wants closeness, but the mind chooses distance to avoid emotional risk, creating confusion and mixed signals in relationships. Overcoming fear of intimacy takes time and self-awareness. Small steps, emotional safety, and supportive connections help retrain the mind. When trust grows gradually, closeness no longer feels like a threat. Intimacy is not about perfection, it's about trust, honesty, and emotional courage. When people understand their fears instead of running from them, relationships can become a place of comfort, healing, and genuine connection. Some people don't seek control through strength or status. Instead, they quietly enjoy influencing emotions, making others feel unsure, dependent, or small, because emotional control gives them a sense of invisible power. By slowly breaking confidence and offering approval only when it benefits them, they train others to seek validation. This dependence makes the controller feel needed, important, and superior without ever demanding authority openly. Emotional controllers often confuse their targets, mixing kindness with criticism. This unpredictability keeps people off balance, constantly questioning themselves, while the controller enjoys staying emotionally one step ahead. Watching others react, hesitate, or suffer emotionally feeds their ego. It reassures them that they matter, that their actions have impact, even if that impact causes quiet emotional damage. Often, this behavior comes from insecurity. Losing emotional control over others feels like losing safety, relevance, or identity, so they tighten their grip instead of facing their own emotional weaknesses. Understanding emotional control is the first step to escaping it. When awareness grows, manipulation loses its power, and the person who once controlled emotions is left facing themselves. Some people don't avoid conflict because they're weak or scared. They avoid it because conflict feels emotionally expensive, unpredictable, and deeply uncomfortable to them. Past negative experiences teach the brain that conflict equals pain, rejection, or loss. Avoidance becomes a learned survival response, not a personality flaw. For some, conflict triggers anxiety, stress, and physical reactions. Their nervous system goes into protection mode, urging escape instead of confrontation. Conflict-avoidant people often overestimate consequences. They fear one argument could destroy relationships, even when calm discussion could actually strengthen them. Some people value harmony more than winning. Peace feels safer than being right, so they sacrifice their voice to keep the environment calm and emotionally stable. Growing up around anger or constant fighting teaches that conflict is dangerous. As adults, they avoid it automatically, even in healthy situations where disagreement is normal. Growing up around anger or constant fighting teaches that conflict is dangerous. As adults, they avoid it automatically, even in healthy situations where disagreement is normal. Conflict-avoidant people often communicate indirectly. They prefer messages, silence, or humor because direct confrontation feels too intense and overwhelming. Conflict avoidance can be unlearned. With emotional skills and boundaries, people can face disagreement without panic or fear of losing connection. Avoiding conflict is about protection, not weakness. Understanding this helps us communicate with empathy and create spaces where honesty feels safe.
Sometimes a simple smell can suddenly stop us in our tracks. Without warning, it pulls us out of the present moment and drops us into the past, reminding us of places, people, and feelings we thought were long forgotten. This happens because smell is directly connected to the emotional part of our brain. When we smell something familiar, our brain doesn't just recognize it, it instantly links it to emotions and moments stored deep inside our childhood memories. Unlike sights or sounds, smells take a shortcut in the brain. They bypass logical thinking and go straight to memory and emotion centers, which is why a scent can bring back vivid childhood scenes faster than any photograph ever could. During childhood, our brain absorbs experiences more deeply. Smells from that time get strongly attached to emotions like safety, joy, or excitement, making them powerful triggers. Years later, when we encounter the same scent again, that's why certain smells feel comforting. They remind us of simpler times, when life felt safer and slower. The brain associates these scents with emotional security, instantly creating a feeling of warmth and emotional calm. Not all smell memories are happy. Some scents can bring back sadness or fear, because the brain stored them during emotional moments. Smell doesn't judge memories, it simply unlocks whatever emotions were attached at the time. This is why smells feel so powerful and personal. Two people can smell the same thing, yet feel completely different emotions, because each brain connects that scent to its own unique childhood experiences and emotional history. In the end, smells act like invisible time machines. They quietly remind us where we came from, who we were, and how deeply our childhood experiences still live inside us, shaping our emotions in ways we often don't notice.
Smart people pride themselves on intelligence, but confidence can become a blind spot. When we trust our brains too much, we stop questioning, assuming obvious lies are too simple to fool someone like us. Lies often come wrapped in authority. A confident voice, fancy titles, or official-looking charts make our brains relax, outsourcing thinking. Smart people trust expertise, even when the source quietly skips facts or logic. Our brains love shortcuts. Patterns, stereotypes, and past success save energy. But liars exploit this, repeating familiar stories until they feel true. Smart people fall when shortcuts replace slow, careful thinking. Emotions hijack intelligence. Fear, hope, anger, or belonging push logic aside. If a lie supports what we want to believe, smart people may defend it harder than facts that threaten identity. Social proof is powerful. When many people agree, our brain assumes safety. Likes, shares, crowds, and trends can convince smart people that a lie must be true, because everyone else believes it. Overthinking can backfire. Smart people build complex explanations to justify false ideas. Instead of asking simple questions, they rationalize contradictions, mistaking complexity for depth, and intelligence for accuracy under pressure and time limits.
Personality doesn't change overnight, it's shaped by tiny decisions we repeat daily. Small choices may seem unimportant, but over time, they quietly build who we become. When we repeat an action, the brain links it to identity. I read daily slowly becomes I am disciplined. Behavior repeated consistently transforms into personality. Habits automate behavior. Once actions become automatic, they stop feeling like effort. Over time, these repeated habits define our attitudes, skills, and reactions. Each small achievement builds self-trust. Confidence isn't built from big wins alone. It grows from tiny promises we keep to ourselves every day. Just as positive actions shape personality, negative habits do too. Avoiding challenges repeatedly can turn into an identity of doubt or fear. Small actions compound. One day of effort seems tiny, but months of repetition create massive change. Personality grows slowly, just like a tree. Once we see ourselves a certain way, we act accordingly. Identity influences future behavior, and identity is built from repeated daily actions. You don't become confident, disciplined, or kind by wishing. You become it by doing small actions consistently. Personality is not fixed, it's practiced daily.
Silence feels uncomfortable because our brain expects communication. When no one speaks, the mind starts searching for meaning. That empty space feels uncertain, and uncertainty naturally creates tension inside us. In silence, the brain fills gaps with assumptions. We begin guessing what others are thinking. Most of the time, these guesses are negative, making silence feel heavier than actual words. Silence gives room for overthinking. Without feedback, the mind replays fears, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. This mental noise makes silence feel loud and emotionally intense, even when nothing bad is actually happening. Our nervous system reads silence as a possible threat. No response can feel like rejection or danger. The body reacts by increasing alertness, raising tension, and preparing us to protect ourselves emotionally. Unanswered messages and pauses feel stressful because they remove control. When we don't know what comes next, our brain stays on edge. Silence delays closure, keeping emotions unresolved and tense. Social silence can feel threatening because humans rely on connection. When conversation stops, we fear exclusion or judgment. This fear activates emotional tension, especially in social or relationship situations. Not all silence is bad. When chosen, silence can feel peaceful. But unexpected silence triggers tension because it removes clarity. Understanding this helps us separate calming silence from stressful silence. Silence increases tension because it invites uncertainty, overthinking, and fear. Clear communication breaks that tension. When meaning is restored through words or understanding, the mind finally relaxes.